Black like me. Black like me. Black like me.
You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Hey, good people. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. Hey, listen, I am enjoying season 11. I know I keep saying this with each episode. Cannot believe that we have over 200 episodes up that are live. You can click through our library and still share and still repost them. And if you joined, somewhere in season 6 or 7, those older episodes are still there. And I just want to encourage you to capture some of them. Now, when I come on, I always talk to you about scintillating conversations that I have with my black peers that are doing fantastic things about the way around the country. And today is no different. I have someone who probably would not describe himself this way, but in Madison and beyond Wisconsin, is really seen as an educational guru and a force to be reckoned with. And that's none other than Mr. Kaleem Caire. Kaleem Caire is the CEO and the founder of One City Schools. Let me just read this to you because I don't want to miss anything. Sometimes when you're familiar with people, we kind of just say, hey, here's a good guy, he's here. But I believe that it's important to give people their flowers. A fifth-generation Madisonian, Mr. Kaleem Caire has dedicated his career to ensuring that all children have access to quality education and opportunities to succeed. His work spans more than 30 years and has had impact at the local, state, and national levels, demonstrating remarkable persistence in pursuing educational equity despite facing obstacles along the way. In 2008, Mr. Caire was among the first recipients of the University of Wisconsin's 40 Under 40 Award, and in the same year was named a Distinguished Alumni by the University of Wisconsin Alumni Association for his work in education and community development. He was also the youngest recipient of the City of Madison's Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award in 2001 and the Urban League of Greater Madison's Whitney Young Award in 2001. He has received numerous local and national awards and citations for his leadership in business, education, and community development. He presently resides in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. That's where I live. Go Fitchburg. He has 5 children, 3 sons, ages 17, 29, 32. I'm sorry, 31. Sorry about that. Jabari, don't get mad at me, and 2 daughters, ages 22 and 26. And he is also a Pahara Aspen Institute fellow. Mr. Kaleem Caire, welcome back to Black Like Me podcast. Man, how are you doing today?
I'm good, doing well. Especially good to come up here and drive by the center.
Oh, man, I'm loving what's happening out there. He's referencing the Center for Black
Every
Excellence
time
and
now
Culture.
I see something different.
Man,
you
I know it. That's how I feel, too. I come to work, and then when you walk through it again, it changes from day to day to day. Man, I'm so glad that you're here. I know that you're busy taking care of our children.
Oh, yes.
Our youngins. And so I'm looking forward to having a meaningful and scintillating conversation with you. But of course, you know that I've got to break that black ice. So I just got to bring up just a couple of things to get us going. So I got a couple of them. So Mr. Caire, the first one is, what does it mean when a sister says, I got to get my butter whipped? Are you familiar with that terminology?
You mean get her hair done?
I'm not sure the etymology of that phrase, but when a sister says, I got to get my butter whipped.
That's right.
That means it's going to get fried, dyed, and laid on the side.
It gets like matted right here,
Yeah, that's
smoothed
right.
out.
It's going to be smoothed out and everything. So exactly. I loved it. All right. Ding, ding, ding. You got that one. Let me just see. Remember back in the 70s when afros were real big, we had these afro picks. What body part was at the on the end of that afro pick?
You about the fist.
The fist.
Yeah.
So he did
and
the
it had
balled
the
up
peace sign in the middle.
It had the peace sign in the middle. What Mr. Caire did is this balled up black fist, black power. You know what? Just for trivia, you remember the wire afro picks? We called them rakes.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what those really were?
Uh-uh.
I went to
But that's the one that had the fist on it.
No one had, but
Yeah.
this one's like it was like an oversized comb, but all the teeth were metal, and
Yep.
and we were at a garage sale. So here in Madison, garage sales are big things, listeners. And my mom loved them, so we would go to the ones, particularly like over in Tacoma, because they were nice homes, so they would have nice stuff. And it was like in this white neighborhood, and this older white lady was selling this this rake, and I just said, "Ma'am, like, is there something she's not telling the neighbors? Like, why do you have this afro pick?" She said, "Oh, this is an angel food cake cutter."
Are you serious?
Google the picture. Eli, you
An
online?
angel food cake cutter.
Angel. Listen, let me just tell you
Wow.
this. Black people are so doggone innovative.
Yes,
like,
we
even
are.
now, because my hair is twisted, it's a miniature tennis racket.
I know that.
So in the
Spencer
morning,
did that to me one
yeah,
time.
he did that.
Yeah.
So every time I go to the barber shop, he'll put like a little oil in it, and then it fits in the palm of my hands. And I do this every morning, and it twists my hair. How do black people? What made us look at an angel food cake cutter and say, "I know what to do with that," or a small tennis racket and say, "I know what to do with that"? Like, can you turn it around so they can see it?
Yep.
That's a rake, but it's an angel
Wow.
food. Like he Googled angel. We're gonna put a link to that image so folks can see. But I love the
That's
innovation
wild.
of black folks.
Brothers would wear them with it, just stick it in their
Yeah,
hair.
they were sticking here. That's right.
and
That's
just
right.
walk around
It
with
wouldn't- You walk around with it. You know, after Roots came out, brothers used to throw those. I remember being at Lincoln, and black people didn't know. Kids did not understand slavery. And after Roots happened, we got this. I mean, fights and stuff broke out. But brothers used to take them rakes out and use them as weapons.
We're about to make an announcement of the bar burden.
Okay. Oh my God.
I'll tell you about it later.
That's it. Oh, you gotta tell me about that. You know, I love him. Do you remember the terminology? You might be too young for this, but maybe not. If you referenced one of your friends, say, "Man, why are you flooding today?" Or look at Kaleem, he flooding. What were they
With
talking
your
about?
pants too high.
Your pants are too high.
At the bottom, the ankles.
Because the
Your
kids
pants were too short.
They would
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
"Hey, they would say the flood is over, the land is dry.
That's
Why are you
right.
wearing your pants so high?"
That's right.
So if you're now flooding is a style. Now you see men with suits like above their ankles.
That's right.
But as kids, now you're like, "Mom, I can't wear these pants. I'm flooding."
I'm saying you can be broke as a joke now and don't matter because everybody's wearing your style.
Everybody's wearing those. And this is just a laugh. This is just you just was able to sort right through those. But what's the difference between a spanking and a butt whooping?
Woo. Black folks don't get spankings.
We get butt whoopings.
I would hear my white friends, "I'm going to give you a spanking." Be like, "What is that?"
What is that?
And
I
it's
don't know.
one whack on the butt or a couple lashes. Like, no, the butt whooping is go get the green switch.
Go get me something.
Get the
to beat
ones that don't break. That tree better not be too mature.
Oh my goodness,
But they lasted for a long time, though, those butt whoopings.
Man,
you didn't have to get
listen,
them that often.
Listen, we still remember. We still laughing at. We don't laugh about them. Like with the butt whoopings, like, you know, the spanking, you can kind of say, "All right, yeah, bring it. All I got to do is hold my breath." Butt whooping, you start crying.
That's right. Even
But
when
they
they
didn't get
said
to
it.
you. Even they said like a butt whooping, and then they would say, "Oh, let me give you something to cry about."
That's right. That's
It's
right.
Like, isn't my eyeball rolling around on the floor enough? Hey, is this the contusions on the back of my head?
Or this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Oh
Like,
yeah, my
no,
mama
it
didn't tell that. Like
no,
she
it
knew it
doesn't.
wasn't gonna hurt her. But listen, let me tell you. Look, and ta-da! Here
That's
we
right,
are.
that's
Here we are.
right.
Ta-da! Something about that worked. So listen, we are not advocating child abuse. That's not what
No,
we're talking about. We
not
just
at
meant
all.
we're just saying black parents were very serious about us not winding up in the back of a police car
That's
or
right.
someplace where they couldn't get to us and rescue us, and they wanted us to respect authority.
That's right.
And if we wouldn't do it in their sight, they feared that we would do it in their absence. Is that the same thing? Well, they were
wouldn't do it in
fearful.
their
That
absence.
exactly. And so they wanted to make sure that no one could ever catch us and say we stole, we disrespected someone, we cussed some grown person out. And they wanted to make sure that we knew how to respect
That's right.
boundaries so that we could become the individuals that we are today. Listen, man, you've been in the studio a couple of times, part of a group discussion, but there's so much exciting stuff that's going on in Madison right now. You have the Center for Black Excellence in Culture, you have the Black Hub, you have the work that Karen's doing at Centro. You're doing fantastic work at One City. There's work that Michael Johnson's doing with youth trades, getting them involved. The retired CEO from Madison College was a black man, Jack. Well, he's still black, Jack Daniels III. But we have all these black and brown leaders that are part of this great movement that's going on in our community. and 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 because one city is not on Park Street or on Badger Road, but it's further east from here, right off the Beltline, which also is very interesting. That the hub and the center and Madison College and one city are all off the highway. I really wanted to talk with you about some of the work that you're doing. So I'll lead in with this. There are so many social innovators that are in this community. You know, when I started at Nehemiah 35 years ago, I was just merely referred to as a community leader, a community activist. But now I'm using the terminology social innovator because I've had to use ideas to keep us financially solvent, to keep us cutting edge, and to make sure that our funding wasn't just limited to the standard nonprofits that the standard funders that everyone goes to. So I had to find ways to bring new money in, which makes me a social innovator, creator of programs and new funding streams. But of all the Black innovators in this city, you're the only one who's in the mix still, who built an entire school system, not like just a classroom, not an after school program, but an entire school system. And I want to know, my first question is, where the heck did that audacity come from?
You know, growing up on the South Side.
And we grew up, you all, in the same neighborhood. I grew up
street.
across the street
Yep.
from Mr. Caire and his family, particularly his grandmother, but I knew his aunts, his
Everybody.
grandmother, everybody in
right.
his family.
And your mom was our landlord.
Yeah, that's right. When
right.
when she managed Bram Hill Apartments. I keep
Yep.
forgetting about that.
That's right.
So where'd that audacity come from, Mr. Caire?
You know, it was seeing lost potential in the neighborhood. Growing up in South Madison, back in those days, it felt like, to me, there were two worlds in Madison. There was the world in South Madison and the world outside of it. And we learned how to negotiate both. Because I went to Catholic school from 1st through 7th grade, I got exposed to a lot of other types of young people. And, you know, although the Catholic religion is, very omnipresent around the world, it's very diverse. A lot of people are Catholic.
Sure.
So I got to meet Latino kids, Asian kids, a lot of different folks. And I got to see how they lived. I got to see what they do, what they liked, but I also got to see what we did that they liked to mimic. And so really I became more culturally fluid. But being on the South Side, when I went to middle school, I went to 8th grade at Cherokee, and I was shocked at how my peers behaved at school.
Right.
Because we hung out in the neighborhood, and I never saw them act that crazy
Right.
like they would act at school. But
Somebody would tell you a family.
Yeah, but I learned very quickly that they felt, I felt culturally, even though I didn't feel this way at St. James, at the Catholic school, I felt culturally out of my skin. Like, I didn't feel like I fit there at all. Never felt like that in my Catholic school. But my peers felt that way. And then the way that they were treated was crazy. I remember sitting next to, I won't say names, but I was sitting next to a guy who had just come from Gary, Indiana, and he was struggling reading. And the teacher called on him, and she said, I went to help him. She said, don't help him. He can do this. You mean you can't read that? She said that to him in front of the whole class. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
And he just sort of shrunk in his chair. And he said, I can't believe this. What school did you go to? And all the kids are looking at him, just embarrassing this kid. But it was a routine played out of that in classroom after classroom. And so that's when I was like, you know what, there's got to be something better than this. And when I went to West High School, and for that year at Cherokee, I really fell off academically. I went to West High School. Again, I was in more college preparatory classes, but I tell people, my whole high school career, I only had classes 3 times with Black students.
Wow.
There were Black students there, but they were always on that first floor in those more remedial type classes, or I was outpacing them. So
I went to West High School, so they weren't on the 3rd or 4th floors.
No.
In those big science rooms.
And I was. So
right.
I always felt, culturally incongruent to all the kids around me,
Sure.
except for sports. And so I just, I basically said, there's got to be a different way of doing this. And then one day, Black Enterprise Television, I was watching a TV show at my grandmother's house. I was a senior in high school, and they had a story on Black independent schools in the South. And it was a 1-hour documentary. And I remember watching this, hearing about Piney Woods and all these schools, and I was like, what, we had schools like that? And I just was enamored by the pictures and the video that they had, because some of the schools were still open at the time. And I was like, man, I would love to go to a school like that. So I literally wrote a paper at school on Black independent schools and sent away for the booklet that they had to look up all the schools and everything. I wish I still had that booklet. And so that right there was when I thought, oh, we could develop different types of schools. So I really started thinking about it then.
So you were a kid. You were in high school
I was
thinking about
17.
this. You know,
17.
Mr. Caire, we have listeners from every state in the union and around the country, so or around the world. Just take a moment to explain to folks the structure of and the purpose of One City Schools.
So in One City, we tell people we're a problem-based learning school. People use project, we use problem. Our kids are at our school to learn how to solve big problems, either locally or around the world. Every generation leaves children the problems to solve. And unfortunately, in our community, we're left problems to solve without the education to do so. And so that's what I tell people first and foremost, that our kids are being learned to solve housing inequality, food insecurity, water quality issues around the world. The lack of access to clean water is huge. You know, climate change, but what about climate change and how does it affect people in urban, rural, suburban areas, in coastal regions, things like that.
Right.
So our kids are learning that. Second is they got to be able to read, write, and compute. They have to be able to read, write, and compute. And so we place a lot of emphasis on, again, the science of reading. But we have tutors. We have trained tutors that come in. We have 19 of them right now, all experienced, mostly retired adults that we've trained in the same reading foundations that our teachers have learned to teach reading in. So they actually know how to help our kids. And then we have an AI reading tutor program that we're beta testing for Vivek. Vivek is a CEO of a company in New York. And we're the beta test site for the company. It's in 150,000 classrooms, 150 countries already are using it.
And he's a guy that used to work for you.
Yeah.
When he was a college student,
and he's still involved.
He grew up with your sons,
He grew
right?
up with my sons. He graduated with my oldest son, and so, but we're beta testing that, and so we're serving as a site for different types of innovations that could help kids around the world. So, One City is an innovative model.
Sure.
That's designed to prepare kids to tackle big problems. We have a family-based focus, though, so we tell people we're a two-generation model where we focus on supporting our families, too. So we also we were the launch site for the Own It, Building Black Wealth program. That's now went private itself. They just got their 501c3, and we sent them their money from their account about 2 weeks ago. Well, we launched that, and we've had almost 20 families. Between staff and parents get jobs, get houses that they normally wouldn't have been able to get. They go through a home ownership training program, and at the end of it, there's a $19,000 payment towards a down payment on their house.
But how many schools in this state are not only educating children but helping parents secure housing? Because we do know that's a determining factor in how students succeed.
None. Nobody's doing that.
That's
and
amazing.
So we have the credit union that Summit has is open 1 day a week in our building. It's the only credit union in an elementary and middle school in the country. There's several that have high schools that have them.
But
elementary
and middle.
Yeah. And so our focus is on helping the family, supporting them with developing greater stability for their family, and then helping the families, the parents level up. So getting access to college opportunities for themselves, coming into workshops for Madison College. So, so goes the family, so goes the child.
Right.
And then the community focus. We have a lot of volunteers that focus that partner with us at One City. We have Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We help them relaunch their school mentorship program because they had it and then they had to let it go. And then they came to us and we said, sure, we'll be a site. And so now I think they're at Wright Middle School and one other school, maybe Nuestro Mundo. And I think they're growing again. And so we're doing stuff like that, man. But the goal is to, seed opportunities for our kids and community. But I want people also, we publicize our kids a lot. And people are like, man, why are you always marketing your kids like that? Because a friend of mine told me once, his name's Hal Smith. I don't know if he's still at the National Urban League, but we've known each other for over 20 years. And I remember when I went to Boston and he was just finished his PhD and he was struggling. And I was like, brother, man, why are you struggling like this, man? Why didn't you go somewhere else? And he said, Kaleem, he said, Harvard, man, he said, it doesn't guarantee everything, but it guarantees you an interview. He said, and I know I can sell myself. He said, anybody that gets a PhD from Harvard will always be interviewed for a job. And I thought about that. So I tell people at One City, I want people to see our kids and them wearing the brand everywhere so that when they get out in the world, they send their application in and they're sifting through and say, oh, wait, this kid went to one city. We want to talk to them.
I love it. Tell me the grades. You said elementary, middle school. So grades that you're
serving? We have preschool is 3 months old to 4 years old, and then we also have 4K in the elementary school, so 4K to 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are part of a beautiful campus that used to be facility that used to be owned by WPS, which is an insurance
and
company.
all our signs are up, so you should come check it out.
Oh, I got to do that because I used to work there back in college. I used to work at, because WPS, I'm going to say UPS. WPS would give you decent hours from Mondays through Thursdays. You didn't have to work weekends. And you could go to school full time and work there.
A lot of people have worked in that building.
A lot. My mom worked there. My mom worked there full time, I think, when I was a kid, when she had taken some time off from school. So a lot of people have come through there. I'd love to ask you some questions about what some of the personal challenges have been. But before that, I want to just go back a little bit to the whole audacity question. What role did your family lineage, what role did they have on you? Because you're not new to Madison. What did I say in my introduction? You are, fifth generation Madisonian, man. So just tell me a little bit about the role that your family played in just helping you to understand you could become the tremendous influencer that you are today.
You don't know things until you get older. When you go back and you start looking back in history, and now you've got some wisdom.
That's true.
And you can look at it differently. But from the time I was a little kid until I graduated high school, my grandmother would always say, "You're anointed. You're special. We got to take care of you." And I kept hearing that throughout my family. And it was like I was immaculate conception of them.
Sure.
And
they saw it, Kaleem.
So they saw it. And when I would do little stuff to get in trouble, I never got any big trouble, but I would do things that would remind me of that, like what God's expecting of me. So having the church play heavily in my life. We went to St. Paul, Madison's first black church.
Yes.
And so that was them that grounded me in faith, and then going through my family sending us to Catholic school. My grandfather's a black Louisiana Catholic. So when we started having issues in the Madison schools in the 70s, they were like, we're pulling our kids out and putting them in Catholic school. He was so happy because he went there for church. My grandmother went to the black church.
Oh.
So that's how we got there. And
growing up, the kids that went to St. James were like, oh yeah, they are those kids. Oh,
that's
those.
Right.
Those
that's
kids.
Right.
Your
that's
family,
right. That's right.
Y'all
that's
were
right.
athletic and stuff, and you were from the South Side, so we didn't give you too hard of a time.
Right.
But Angie Carson, who became a principal, she's one of the superintendents. Those of you all who went to the private schools, you're like, oh, okay, all right.
That's right.
Those are the young kids that's going places. We mess with y'all, but we knew that y'all were on track.
But I tell you, like that commitment to us, then what it cost them. They all had to pool their money back then.
Yes.
But CMA Mitchell, and my grandmother's best friend, they'd come over to that house and they'd be chopping up about community stuff all the time. And I love listening to these women talk. So I would literally sit on the floor in the middle of them and just listen to all the conversations. Or my grandmother would be like, go sit on the couch. So I'd sit on the couch, but everybody who came through our house, I met Paul Soglin when I was a little kid.
Yeah, everybody he was a city of Madison mayor, activist mayor.
They were constantly organizing, always.
But now, didn't Mrs. Mitchell and Mrs. Caire, your grandmother, didn't they have a hand in bringing, was it NAACP or Urban League to Madison?
NAACP, and then NAACP first. Urban League was a number of people, but it was my grandfather's uncle, Sam Pierce, was the first one to try to get an Urban League here when he was working he was a secretary to 5 Wisconsin governors.
Tell me his name again.
Samuel Pierce. So from 1922 to 1936, he was an executive messenger to 5 Wisconsin governors. So that was a secretary that sat outside the governor's office.
And in this time, popular. A black man having that kind of role.
Oh, he was the top black figure in the state. And he used his office to try to help us. He brought Du Bois here. He had all kinds of stuff going on.
W.E. Du Bois?
Yeah.
To Madison.
St. Martin House was...
I grew up...
The St. Martin House. He was trying to build a community center for black people. And
that was your grandfather?
That was him.
That was your great-grandfather's uncle?
Yes.
Tell me the relationship again.
It happened after he died, but my grandfather's uncle, Samuel Pierce, my grandfather's mother's brother, came here in 1907 as a porter on the Northwest Railway train.
Because when we finished,
bought a house.
When we finished fifth grade, Mrs. Mitchell, and your grandmother was probably part of it, threw a party for sixth graders who were starting middle school at the St. Martin's
house. What they did. Oh, always. I'm sure my grandmother was involved with that.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was my very first dance.
Oh.
But they invited the black kids to come there in the community and celebrating us going into middle school because we knew that was a rite of passage. Otherwise,
And I knew charity because of them. My grandma would be, take this check. She'd write a check, take this to such and such. This is for that. We're going to support them Southside Raiders. We're going to support this. We're going to support that. I was always running around the community doing that. And then when it came to yard signs for politics, I remember telling Paul Sagan when he was tripping on me one time when I was at the Urban League, I said, Paul, I'm not your enemy. I said, you remember all them yard signs are on the south side? Me and my cousins put all those up for you, so you need to stop tripping.
That's
you
right.
know,
Stand
but
down, Paul.
That's where I learned service was from them. My Aunt Patsy on the board of the South Madison Neighborhood Center with her husband Sam. My grandmother, the founder of the Brams Neighborhood Association. I could just go on, man. And just that's what we knew.
Man.
So it was rooted in us early. It was like they didn't just tell us, they showed us.
Yeah, they did.
So we grew up like that.
And they did it without a lot of complaining, without a lot of fanfare.
That's
Social
right.
media wasn't out, so Mrs. Caire, your grandmother, wasn't doing things and then posting.
Correct.
Hey, here's what I'm
Correct.
doing.
And they would get in arguments with each other, and I'm gone, Mary. And then next thing you know, a week later, they coming back hugging it out. And so I saw the disagreements they would have too, but how they never were permanent.
Right, because we needed each other.
Yeah.
Folks, as I mentioned earlier, Kaleem's grandparents lived across the street from us. I grew up at 1708
She used
Fisher
to make us
Street.
listen to you preach.
Oh my God! And she would come when our church started when I was about 8th grade. She would come over when I was a teenager and participate and support me as a young man. I mean, she was true to St. Paul. That was her church. But I can still see Mrs. Caire sitting in our living room and being a part of those early church moments. I'm now Madison's longest serving faith leader, and she was there when I was still in an aspiring.
That's right.
Mode. And then when I was in college, I came back to my alma mater, our alma mater, West High School, to talk to a group of black students about coming to Wisconsin.
I was sitting in the audience.
And you were in my class.
You were the
you were in
first
that
black
group.
person that spoke to me about college.
Wow.
You were the first black person that spoke to me about college.
And
Even
I was-
before my cousin Joe, who was a minority service coordinator, you were the first black person.
That's crazy. And I wasn't even working at the university at the time. I was a part of the academic advancement program, which was formerly the 5-year program that Ruth Doyle, Governor Doyle's mom, and James Baugh created. And I wanted to give back to students. And so I went back to my high school, and there's Kaleem, Michael back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
And
Yeah.
I said, there's Michael Caire sitting
Yep.
up in this classroom, and I talked to you
I
about.
still remember that young face. I still remember where you were standing in the auditorium.
My man, that's so.
Dude.
Listen. Man, oh man, is it crazy out here, and I don't think it's just me. Look, it's 2025. Trump is back in office, and some days it seems as if the sky is falling. There's so much uncertainty in the world right now, but I love that sitting down right here in front of this mic and letting the hard truths rumble out of my heart and off my chest is as certain as it ever was. Season 11 is gathering steam, and you're in for a real treat. Let me just tell you. When I reflect back on all of the seasons that we dropped here at Black Like Me podcast, each of them has had a special purpose, a one-of-a-kind lineup of guests, and its own unique field. I also think about the thread that binds them all together. What we do here at Black Like Me is unique. I don't have another space that feels just like this, where I can really speak from my unique perspective. And the guests who have on the show remark that these interviews they do here are unlike any others that they've done in other places. Sure, nobody else does Black Icebreakers, but that's only part of it. We have created a truly unique space here where honest conversations about the thoughts, the ideas, the policies that affect Black people and that Black people care deeply about. And you know what? It isn't easy. And I don't do this all alone. I have an incredible team that has steadily grown over the years, and each person that joins adds another asset to what we can do here. And all of you that support us on Patreon, my people, my people, my people. We simply would not be able to do what we do or get what we have gotten without you. So as we look to even bigger and better things in the coming season, please help support the show right now by clicking the link to Patreon in the show notes and join the community of people supporting this unique and provocative space. In the world that we're living in, where there's so much attack on our perspectives, our history, our bodies, and our lives and contributions, aren't you glad you have a place where you can still hear powerful, exhilarating, intellectual Black thought like you do? I enjoy it. And so if you do too, share the good news, tell friends, click that Patreon link now. Thank you so much for your support of Black Like Me podcast with Dr. Alex G. Listen, man, that is so interesting. So then that audacity comes from your family. Your grandmother was pioneer, social innovator. She wanted to bring organizations. Your mom was brilliant. I knew her. Sometimes just riding the buses, talking politics with the drivers, shooting the breeze, but just up on news and world events. And always when she would see me, would ask about my mom, my father, my grandfather. So you come by all of these things rightly, but you've been in this game for a minute, Kaleem. So I'm thinking back about your idea about Madison Prep. What year was that?
That was 2010 when I launched the idea, but then 2011 when they voted it down.
Wow, it seems like it was longer than 2010, but you were trying to create, it was a school for Black boys initially, and then you brought it to Black and brown boys.
And girls.
And girls, but just the pushback, man, that you got for wanting to be innovative. Well, what happens if you bring all the promising Black students out of the schools and bring them into your own special little magnet program? Who's going to help the other Black kids? And I was thinking, I don't know, maybe the teachers, maybe the people that are paid to do, administrators, parents. So talk to me about how that audacity works. I don't want the focus to just be on the city's pushing back. Tell me about how that audacity just works when people say we got you, then it comes down to a vote and they don't. And then that's 2010, 2011. One city launched as a preschool program, but one city launched as an actual school. In what year?
In 2015. So that was a preschool, and then elementary came in 2018, and the middle school in 2022.
So you stayed true to that mission, even though it took different forms. I still have my I Support Madison Prep T-shirt that we got. And Vivek, whose software you're doing the beta testing, he was the first person to speak on behalf. I was there. I was at Memorial High School.
Because they let students speak first, and
he was the very first one to speak. But man, you have stayed the course, the educational course, the social innovation, believing that education was the way that we lifted ourselves. And so that audacity never waned. At least that's the way it looks on the outside. Were there days you sat inside of your bed and said,
Man,
I'm going back to Virginia. I'm going back. I'm going to DC.
So many times. But, this is a mess. This is a movement that God started in me. So I got to fulfill the mission. And the mission's not done until whenever it's done. And it's not done anytime soon.
Right.
So I tell people, there are people who will come in and out of your life at moments. You got to be grateful for the moment that they were there, because nobody has to stick around for this forever. It's not, God didn't give them the mission necessarily, give it to me.
Right.
So I'm going to come into contact with various people that help me get through this passage and that passage and that passage, and continue to honor and thank them, even if they're not still there, because they have other things that God's calling them to do too, right? So that's just how I live, man. So the audacity comes from understanding my purpose. I know what I'm here for. And, I know the work is hard. I've been through trials and tribulations before. And so I feel like all those previous trials and tribulations prepared me for this.
Sure.
Because I'm telling you, this has been one long trial. And the kids are benefiting from it. But it's also brought me to the point, Pastor, where I realized that one of the biggest challenges holding us back as a society, and definitely in this country, is we're not focused on children. And children are the biggest gift that God will ever give us. And I've told people that when a child is born, that's your opportunity to get it right. So if you treat that child well, you invest in them as a community too. If you do what you do, you sacrifice to build them, you're going to have a much brighter future.
Sure.
Because they're going to be the beneficiaries of your goodwill. and they're going to continue to perpetuate that going forward.
It's an
But if
investment.
you ignore them, if you allow them to be abused and excused and maligned and fall into all kinds of disparities, well, you're going to get that too.
And that's what we're experiencing.
And that's
in some
what we're
places,
experiencing.
in some places.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so I'm like, you can determine the future by how much you invest in children. I told people too. Somebody asked me once about 5 years ago, and I had to think about it. So about Madison's #1 rankings, I was on a stage at one of these awards events, and what I thought about that, and I said, I don't give much thought to it. I said, I tend to value communities by how well your children are doing. If your children are doing well, and you're trying to help them do well, I'll praise you up here. But if your community looks great, your city looks great, East Washington Avenue looks wonderful.
Yes.
But I just put out there last night, and I'm about to push something today. When I leave here, 99% of black students in the state of Wisconsin are not academically qualified to go to UW-Madison.
99% of black students in the
99%.
entire state of Wisconsin
Yes.
do not meet the entrance requirements for the University of
That's right.
Wisconsin-Madison.
And literally,
That is a big fail.
90% don't meet any of the schools that we have. So imagine you live in Milwaukee,
Wow.
Whitewater, good schools. They can't get into any of those. So we're talking about racial inequality. We've just hardwired it for more generations.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, if you allow things like that to persist, you're not vigorously pursuing change. I don't think of Madison as #1 like other people do.
Right. For who? That the question is number
Right,
one.
that's right.
The question is all right, but
That's
for
right.
who? But not for everyone. I can say as a community member, it means a lot to us, particularly for the black community, to see you as a black man, as a father, caring about education. Because typically, we'll see the moms, the women, carrying this torch for education. And you've been at this for a while. You've been banging that drum for a long time. You haven't switched. It's not like, yeah, let's open a chain of hardware stores, or let's franchise some restaurants. You've been saying education, education, education for a long time. And I'm just glad that you're sticking to it, because you don't hear it enough, and you're probably too busy to notice it when we are hearing it. But we watch, we watch you, and we think this is a gift for us to have.
And my children
in a
are
community.
watching you. They are. That's why I tell people, like the Hub and all these projects, Central and Spinal, like our people, I'm going to get emotional. They have to see us build.
They have to see that. Kaleem, what year was that when you came back? I think, man, Jabari might have been like 5 or 6, maybe a little older. But I mean,
So Johnny was 4.
But,
was about to go to kindergarten.
I'm thinking about before.
Oh, before.
I'm thinking about Jabari. Like,
Jabari was 3 and Sakani was 1.
Yeah, but when you came back a few years after that, it was just the two of them. Unless
Actually, Jabari was, he wasn't even born yet when we first moved here.
Got you when you first came back.
Right. He was born that September. We came in June of 1993, and he was born in September.
But you would come back and visit. You'd visit, Glenn and Puka.
That's right.
Parks. Shout out to the Parks down in Georgia. And you would bring the boys to my office, and they were young. It was
That's right.
The two of them. They'd be playing, and you would say to me, "When are you gonna build? When are you gonna do something on on this land?" And I often say this, but I think we need to remember it. I need to say it for the record. I need people who are listening, who think that black folks don't have each other's back. You said, "Man, my kids need to see you build." I thought about this when you said your children are watching me now, because they, the youngest, they weren't even born yet, but because you weren't living here. You came back to visit. And you said they need to see you build. And I was like, Kaleem, every time I have an innovative thought, they say, well, what does Mount Zion think? What does this church think? What does this leader think? And I felt that in those days, it was hard to be innovative, because people wanted you to shop your black your black excellence around to make sure that other people could corroborate your intelligence. And I got tired of doing that. So I started doing work in other places. And you said to me, hey, I was talking to people down at the chamber, and they're like, where is Alex? Like, he was like, man, you need to show up. So those are two different trips.
That's right.
But one time you said, when are you going to build? When are you going to build that church? When are you going to build stuff? And you said, I'll come back. I'll help you. I'll be a part of what you're doing. And so I got to ask, and we're going to come back to one city stuff, but how does it feel to know you challenged me in those ways that I really thought about. I took to heart. I came out of hibernation, re-engaged in Madison, particularly after 2009 when I finished my doctorate. But how does it feel to know you influenced influencers when you weren't even living here at the time?
It's a blessing, man. You know, God puts us where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be there. So those messages were meant for you from Him.
And I was listening, man.
And but you are the first. You and Ed Holmes, I tell you, were the first Black social entrepreneurs that I knew. But you had a building. Ed had his programs and stuff, but they worked for us, man. And there were others who started programs and things, but when you started Nehemiah,
Yeah.
and I was like, you were the first brother that started something new that I knew. I'm sure a lot of people would say that. And then the years that you've been in this and working towards this, and to see you stay, I tell people, Kaleem, man, you've been on this like a dog with a bone, not longer than Alex G.
Wow. And you know,
Like literally. And to see it come to fruition,
yes,
the persistence that pays off. I'm like, everything that you're going to see in there, you know, is a testament to your strength and determination, brother.
that means the world to
It
me.
is. And then how Laleda has been supportive of you, your mama.
Yes,
Powerful,
man. Thank you.
you know. And there's a lot of us that watch it. And I'm just watching it come together. And I'm like, nobody better spray paint that place. Nobody
I
better-
know. We're
gonna
gonna
fight.
They better not. They better not, because we're gonna show them what the South Side is
But
really
it just
like.
feels this. Think about this too. My children right now, we didn't see anybody build anything.
No, we didn't. We did not.
So for us, building something was something we had to see in a magazine, that Ebony Jet. So we had to or watch the TV shows
Or go to Milwaukee.
or go to Milwaukee, right? But we didn't see it right here. So I know I left here thinking we couldn't do this kind of stuff in Madison. These kids they won't even have the reference point, especially the ones just being born.
That's
Think about
an excellent way
think
to
about
look
what we're
at it.
building here. Wow. Think about all those little restaurants that are in the hub now.
You know, when I had Dr. Anthony on here talking about the hub, I said to him, between his work, your lift, financial lift, our financial lift, what Michael had to do, what Karen had to do at Central, what Jack had to do, collectively, what have we raised? $150 million, if not more.
Absolutely.
So just think about that. What?
We raised 50.
Yeah,
so
man.
far.
And ours that's 30, and that's just for the center. That doesn't include the other
But that
20.
that's right.
Had to raise
That's
for
right.
Nehemiah and
That's
stuff.
right.
But think about that, man. Then we're talking about $170
That's right.
million. That's nothing to sneeze at, man. And
That's not.
what mid-sized cities wouldn't give their eye teeth for that type of Black and brown brain power and investment in the security and the advancement of that city? It's really, man, that's
right.
really amazing. So what makes you stay here in Madison? Because, you know, with this, you know, with ideas you have, what made you want to do one city in Madison?
I've been around, and people think the pastures are greener. There are places that I feel more culturally comfortable. You know, that was East Coast. DC, I was much more culturally comfortable there than I am here. You know, I didn't have to worry about people looking at me crazy. Even the white people there didn't look at you crazy because they were used to you.
Right.
You know, you weren't second guessed. Your intelligence wasn't second guessed all the time. You know, so there's a lot of those things, but also there were other endemic problems there that were hardwired into those communities where, you know, the poverty level in DC is they have some abject poverty, but the challenge they have there too is that they have a lot of us that are affluent now, and they don't necessarily care that much about the poor amongst them. So when I look at Madison, I tell people Madison's not a broken city. We might not like our leaders, a mayor or a county executive from time to time, but nobody's robbing from the public till. You don't hear about that. As a Black man, I hate being stopped, but I don't have to worry about necessarily being shot by the police here. You know,
I mean, you're just telling the truth.
You know, and so it's a safer place for us, honestly. Plus, it's prosperous. When we went through the pandemic, Madison's unemployment rate went up to what other cities. Mayors would keep their jobs forever with our unemployment rate in hard times. You know, we went from 1.6% unemployment during the housing bust to 3.8%, and we thought that was a problem. At 3.8, there's no mayor that would ever lose their job in a big city. So I'm like, literally, so when you have that, and then you have kind and generous people here who are willing to give to a project like
Millions.
the Center for Black. That's right.
Or one city.
It is a place where if we can't get it right here, man, where else can we do it? So I see the potential to do it.
Great insight.
The things that get in the way here are people's political and ideological beliefs.
That's powerful.
They are so afraid of change. This place is so risk
We've never
averse.
done it that way before.
That's right. They're so conservative in that way. They're not conservative socially in their beliefs about people necessarily,
Right.
but conservative and willing to change the institutions around them to help all of us win.
And I think when that happens, that's when people are, they're either progressively oppressive or oppressively progressive. But yeah, I mean, you can have a very socially progressive mindset, but when it comes to challenging the very systems that maintain
That's right.
oppression, like, oh my gosh, what do we do? How do
And they'll destroy you if you say they're racist.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they can't handle it. Because mentally they don't see themselves that way. But the institutions that you harbor, like think of MMSD. You keep saying everything has to happen through there, but no change ever really happens through there.
And that's Madison Metropolitan School District.
Yeah, Madison. And it's not that the people are all bad. It's that all those people probably care about our kids, right? But they're not willing to make the institutional changes to benefit our children. Example, why don't we have 2 teachers in a classroom to work with our kids in the schools where we have a preponderance of kids?
Right.
Had we done that, a generation ago, we might not see the proliferation of the amount of poverty we see
wouldn't.
right now.
No, you're right.
The charter school for boys that I was trying to get. We've had boys carted off to prison here. A lot of those 2 boys, Kari and Elijah LaRue, they would have been going to my school, man. Little Elijah was in school with my daughter Alana at Cherokee. His mom, Alice, is the sister of Prina, who was burned in that vat over there by that white supremacist in Janesville. He's been through a lot. He's doing time now for a murder.
And they could have been.
They would have, right. But I'm saying we'll allow that carnage before we will change the institutions.
And our state motto is forward.
And so mentally, no, you are not racist, but your behaviors are holding my people back.
It's perpetuating a system that's not allowing us.
That's right.
To grow. I remember when I penned Justified Anger 2013, one of the things I mentioned was white people are more, at least in Madison, were more afraid of being considered racist than putting in the energy to cease from being a racist.
That's right.
That I remember one of the things I quoted was that someone said they can't imagine anything in life worse than being white and racist. And I said, there's a rape, there's child abuse, like there's a whole lot of stuff. Like, is there that much fear that's out there that you think that there's nothing worse? If it's the case, own it, because you didn't wake up and decide to be that way. There are some systems that allowed that to happen. We're not saying that you're damaged goods, but if you don't acknowledge it, you can't change it. And so that is the challenge. Those are the waters that we swim in. That I believe that what I'm doing here in Madison, I couldn't do anywhere else. But what I'm fighting against are not swastikas or burn flags on our lawn. It really is good-minded people that want to know why do black people need space to themselves? Like, why can't you build that downtown? Why can't you put that beautiful center in the cultural district, in the art district downtown? And I said, it's the same distance from South Madison to State Street as it is from State Street to South Madison.
That's right.
So you're trying to get us to bring a building downtown where we have no we have no land. We have no land control, because now you're realizing this is going to be beautiful and world class. Now it deserves the honor of being downtown. Well, if it's this beautiful, come to the South Side, because we go downtown. Does downtown come to the South Side?
And they should be happy that. But I tell people this who will question the center. I'm like, you guys, look. Number one, the brother had his vision. And he's been sticking with this longer than any of us. He deserves to manifest this vision. Number two, our kids need to see this. You all are okay with us not having nothing. We're not. Our kids need to see this. And third, it's not just a place for us. It's a place for you to come and engage with us in our culture authentically.
Right.
When we go into your places, we can't be authentic. We can't just be ourselves. This is a place where when we walk in, we'll be able to breathe. And guess what? Black people have always been an inviting group of people. I tell this, I don't remember growing up black folks in the neighborhood hating on white people. They would question, why do they do that?
Right.
Why are they sending all police through our neighborhood? But I never heard the level of racism
Right.
that you see often directed at
No,
us.
I never saw that. I
No.
never saw that.
So it's like we're open, accommodating people. Come, learn, live, be a part of this with us. And the Cultural Center will give people an opportunity to do that.
Sure. You know, you were quoted in a Madison 365 article back in January where you said, I firmly believe that this must be our all-in moment for our children's future. I'm just curious, like, what are you seeing out there? And do you feel like Madison is treating this like an all-in moment?
No, I think it's not all intentional. I think some of it is that there's so much going on in the world. Social media has brought us all within a keystroke of each other. And I don't think most people have the level of resilience to deal with the level of chaos that they see every day. So it's hard to see what's possible through all that chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that does inhibit change in a lot of places, and that people being all in, I only got so much energy to give, right? But I do think where we could do a better job is that we focus on, what are the top 3 things that are most important? And we all make a commitment to play a role there. The city makes a commitment to invest there, and it's like, this is what we do. Right. And when you see, it's not just our kids, it's all these kids struggling now, that we're going to provide the very best educational opportunities for kids. We have a selfish motivation. We want our city to keep growing and thriving, but we also want to see these kids do well. And if we made that a commitment, number 2, if we said, you know what, we're going to make it possible for business to operate here so that people can have jobs, we're going to hold them accountable to give back to this community so that they're not, so the only ones that aren't giving are the ones who've got a few dollars in the bank, and these corporations can sit on the sidelines and just pass money through one institution, United Way or whatever. No, we want you guys to be actively involved in the community beyond that. If you're earning from it, you need to give back to it. And then third, the politics, man. We've got the university, we got a capital city. Allow people with different viewpoints to share what their views are. That's how we get to connect with each other.
Exactly.
Instead, we've spent years of telling people outside of Dane County they're crazy. Now they're telling us we're crazy. And now we're worlds apart.
How's that working
from one
for
another.
us?
Right. So what's the harm of having people share their view? University, what's the harm of having a group of Republicans on campus trying to rally people? You just let the other group rally too, but there's got to be conditions that there's not going to be violence or whatever. I feel like we got to become better listeners with each other, brother. Otherwise, we're leaving our kids a divided world.
Right.
And we can do that here. Madison not that big.
Right. If we just open our minds.
That's right.
Are charter schools, are public charter schools held to the same scrutiny as public schools?
Much higher. Much higher.
I think you made a quote that a public school can fail kids for
forever
100 years.
And never be closed.
There's no retribution. There's no accountability.
No.
I bet you people wanted to know what the success rate in GPAs, probably your first year, first semester in operation.
Oh man, they only close public schools in the United States of America, traditional public schools, when the birth rate declined. There's not enough kids to put them in, so they have to close some, or the community gentrification, whatever, becomes so maligned that nobody lives there. That's why they close them when it's obvious. For charter schools, we can get closed we have a 5-year contracts. Okay. All charter schools across the country, they're all public schools. We're considered school districts, just like regular traditional school districts. But we get to be more innovative in exchange for greater levels of accountability. But the levels of accountability, I don't see are ridiculous. I just wish that traditional public schools had to live with the same level of accountability. So people call us unaccountable schools. We don't have elected school boards. I'm like, your elected school board, you have all these people running unopposed because nobody cares.
Right.
Except for the ones running.
And they don't have any kids in the school district.
That's right.
And they run in.
That's right. For me, here's what, number one, I got a 5-year contract. If I don't meet my growth objectives in those 5 years, they can shut us down. And they compare us to our school district here. And we've said compare us to the kids within the school district because we're 90% black and brown kids, 70% poverty, 20% special needs. There's no individual school or district close to that in Dane County. So we get compared along those lines. 2, we get annual reviews. We just had our annual review from the Office of Educational Opportunity at UW 2 weeks ago. No public school in Wisconsin gets an annual review. None. Number three, we have
Could you imagine if they did, though?
Number three, my audits are public. Their audits, you can ask for them, but their audits aren't public. My audits are public.
I didn't realize that.
No, I think you can ask for them, but they're not public.
But yours are public.
Yes, they'll talk about them in school board meeting, but they're not promoting it and putting it out there. We have something with the Department of Public Instruction where they just came and did a comprehensive review of our school, and we passed it. But
Congratulations.
They do them every now and then with the public. I wonder when the last time MMSD or Middleton or any of them had a comprehensive review from DPI.
I haven't heard of them.
You see what I'm saying? So we have all that. Plus, I have a board. I have 2 parents on my board. So my customers are my board members too. So all these things make us much more publicly accountable than other schools. And if we don't make those numbers, they can close us. And like if they came to my school and did this review and saw some mess, they could pull my charter right away and say you're done operating.
So when the charter remains open, we need to understand a statement is being made that they are cut above
That's right.
the rest.
That's right. Now, and I do think that we should be, but they should be paying us that way too.
Sure.
And
No,
I have to
got you.
raise half my budget, whereas MMSD gets 100% of its budget publicly. They spend $26,000 a kid. Now we spend the same, and our amount we'll spend will go down as we achieve economies of scale. But they get 100% of their funds from the public. I have to raise 49.6% of mine privately, which is why people don't see me.
Wow.
I'm always walking around with my hand out. And I'm a public school, so I can't deny anyone entry. So the kid in the wheelchair in my school, I had to call a donor and ask for some extra support. In MSD, they can levy property taxes.
It's a different ball game,
It's a
man.
different ball game.
You know, you talked about the role of your grandmother and others in your family. I love asking my guests, in addition to that, are there 2 to 3 role models you can think about, not just from your childhood or adolescence, but maybe even in career, 2 or 3 people who you would consider key mentoring figures or role model figures that help to shape who you are and what you do today?
Howard Fuller and Gloria Ladson-Billings.
Howard Fuller, he was a former superintendent of schools from Milwaukee.
And Gloria
School District.
Ladson-Billings. Yeah.
And she's a rock star, a retired professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
That's right.
But the 2 of them have been those
Big
role
time.
models for you.
Big time. And then I would say Joe Robert in D.C. I'm just thinking professionally now.
And who was
Joseph Robert Jr. He was one of the most prominent businessmen in the D.C. area in its history, honestly. Extremely generous, came up not poor, but working class family, father alcoholic, dropped out of college after his first year, got in a fight. And he and Sugar Ray were good friends, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Uh-huh.
And so he used to learn to box together and stuff. But Joe ended up taking on his dad's little property management business and built it into a $15 billion company.
Wow.
And he was charismatic, but he cared about kids. And when he brought me on board, he said he wanted to leverage his involvement in education and healthcare for kids tenfold. And so it was like, okay. And so all that work I did in D.C., he stood shoulder to shoulder with me, opened up all kinds of doors, told me once flying on his private plane, we always talked for the first 15, 20 minutes. And he said, you're the smartest young man, sharpest young guy I've ever met. He said, my Rolodex is open to you. He said, whoever you want to call around the world, you just let me know. Just call Maryland and we'll put you in touch because you got a big future.
And he meant it.
He passed away. He passed away just days before the vote for Madison Prep, so I couldn't go to his funeral. Yeah. But, yeah, man, so he was pivotal. But Gloria was the one. Michael Olnick introduced me to her, who was a professor on campus that met with me. And he's really close friend and mentor, too. But she took me under her wing. We like calling her Mama Gloria. That sister has never left my side since then. Yes. I went to D.C. for 10 years. I'd come back and visit with her. I'd call her up. She was always a phone call away, brother. Still on my board still right now. I was on the board of the Urban League for me.
And listen, she supports Ruben at the Hub.
Yep, supports you.
She supports
right.
me. And in fact, I was just texting with her earlier today.
That's how she is.
Supports her folks and leaders, but as a fantastic academic and mother figure and thought leader, she makes time, particularly for young
and
black
that's Howard Fuller
male
too,
leaders.
Man. That's Howard, man, out there in Milwaukee. He's got the Howard Fuller.
I want to meet him.
Academy
I want you to
now.
introduce me
I am. I'm going to
to
make that
Dr. Fuller
happen.
because I've heard about him since my
that
college
man,
days.
He's going to be 84 years old. That man is amazing. And he and I had a falling out years ago, but we patched that up. And I'm so glad we did, because I learned so much from him. But he was the one that took me from Madison. And so I tell people, Gloria really got me cemented in education, by way of an introduction from Michael and Virginia Henderson and people like that, get me involved a little bit. But then Howard was the one that took me to the next level. And without those folks, and then Joe helping me manifest that vision in D.C. with all the support he provided and the amazing opportunities we created for kids there, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now.
And my last question is, talk to me a little bit about self-care, because you're doing a lot. You give a lot to other folks. I know you've had a couple of close bouts with death, you know. But what are the things that you are implementing just to make sure that you're healthier, that you got good boundaries so that we can have you around for a long time?
Yeah, you know, it's one is I don't do a lot outside of my job and my kids. And I have a girlfriend, you know, stuff like that. But I don't, because I just don't have the physical bandwidth that I have the spiritual and mental bandwidth, but the physical, it's like it wears you down. So I have a routine. I get up every morning, I hit the gym, I go to Orange Theory, you know, and
Glad to hear that.
Every now and then I'll switch it up and go to the Princeton Club, but I keep my Orange Theory membership. I'm always going, right? Even when I'm tired. Last night I was tired and I still went and felt so much better after, because it brings those cortisol levels down. I can sleep better. So that's the other thing, is working on my sleep. And when I wasn't sleeping well, I was putting on all kinds of weight. And then my diet, I watched that too. I have my own little house up in Fitchburg. I spend a lot of time binge watching Netflix and Prime Video and stuff like that. Do that with my kids or my lady. But I remove myself from a lot of the community activities because I know me. It's not anything about them. I know me is that I will overgive my time.
Yes, you will.
To all of that, and then there's nothing left for me. And so when you brush that death the first time, you don't listen. And then the second time, I'm sitting there in a car with E. coli in my bloodstream, didn't know I was dying, had a blood infection. I was like, okay, I got to make this a thing. So one thing somebody did correct me on just 2 days ago, I was talking about church. And I said, Pastor's always teasing me about where you at. And I was like, man, every time I come to church, at the end of church, I don't leave, because I'm a talker. And so it turns into a job. And I can't remember who it was, but said, you just slide out.
That's what you do. That's what I got people that do that. Slide out.
Just told me that you just slide out right before.
Slide in after it starts, slide out before it goes. Yeah. That's what I do when I visit places.
So I'm gonna start doing that.
That's what I do at funerals. I shouldn't say that as a pastor. I slide out because you're right. When you go to places, if I'm on,
it's not that I want to talk to people.
Exactly, man. If I'm on and I want to let people know what I'm doing, that's great. But if I'm in a mode like Miss Dunlap's funeral, she lived next door to my mom, you know, for years. If I'm in that mode where I'm a community son and someone just walks up and says, "So, tell me about the center," I'm not in that space. In that moment, I can't have small talk because I'm grieving, because I lived next door to that lady.
Right.
You know, I've known her as long as I've known your grandmother. Like, you know, she's next door to us. You all were across the street.
That's right.
So I got you, man. But yeah, slide out. You can do that. You can slide out. You know what? I know that you got some other things to do, Mr. Caire. I know a little bit later today you're going to be talking to my communications director, is also my engineer and an editor for the podcast. One of them, Eli, because 10 years ago, you and I put together a report that was called the Our Madison Plan, where we wanted to listen to Black folks say, what would it look like to move the needle? Now, again, and you kept reminding me of this too, we can't fix this for the community. We can't do white people's work. But we did bring together Black people.
Yes, we did.
And asked them to dream. And when we talked to them, we had various teams, a communications team, community wellness team.
That's right.
We didn't call it reentry, but whatever that area was, we were focusing on all of that. I remember some of the Black teachers, when we asked what they wanted to see change, they said, well, maybe more awareness training. We're like, y'all, it's us. This is not a room full of white people. You don't have to say that. What would make the needle move? And some of the things, and you shared that with Dr. Gloria, some of the discussions that came from those meetings actually happened. We didn't make them happen.
That's right.
But remember we said, your committee said, I think might have been your suggestion, Kaleem. It wasn't mine, but you or your committees, What if you could graduate from high school if you're black and have an associate's degree and a high school degree?
That's right.
That's
Jack was
happening.
there. Jack
That's
was there,
happening
yeah.
right now. But your committee
Yeah.
made that recommendation,
right.
but we have to pull our
That's
own
right.
people to dream
That's Jack's
larger.
gift to Madison too.
Yes,
He and Jen Cheatham,
they
made
work.
that happen.
That's
And
a
now they've
tremendous
got
gift.
multiple programs. They're about to
Man.
start cybersecurity this fall. Kids can
Wow.
get a cybersecurity. They start working in that and get an associate's degree in it when they graduate from high school.
We pull black influencers together and ask them what would move the needle, not
That's
what
right.
we're going to do. So in a few weeks, we're going to celebrate the 10th anniversary of those black brilliant minds coming together. Remember, we were at the Expo Center.
That's
There were
right.
750 seats set up, and there were still like another 200 people
1,000 people
standing.
there.
It was
That's right.
1,000
That's
people
right.
there
That's right.
on a I don't know, Friday night. We had a band, we had kinfolk,
right.
we had food.
That's right.
We rolled out stuff, and man, two guys from the South Side, from around the block, are doing things. You and I are doing
That's right.
things that Madison grown folks, irrespective of their ethnic background, have never done.
Yeah.
You know, you've dreamed up a school. I dreamed up a Center for Black Excellence in Culture, where we honor the black presence in this community. It has nothing to do with slavery, nothing to do with subjugation, but it has to do with just our survival techniques. And so I'm really grateful for that. The other thing I'm grateful for too, Mr. Caire, is, and our listeners, I want you all, particularly if you want to be allies and you're not black, I need you to lean in. When we, our black people, are talking about God, we're not being religious. We're being truthful.
That's right.
You might see somebody like a JC, and that's probably not the best example right now, but you'll see people who will say, hey, I want to thank God for this opportunity. You might think, yeah, they're just saying that because they're at the award. No, somebody had a grandmother that said that every blessing you thank God. Jamie Foxx almost died. Has this whole special.
That's right.
It's like a sermon. I don't know if you've seen his special, but that man's like preaching there, talking about God's giving me another chance. And so I love the fact that you are not doing this from an ecumenical perspective, or like you're trying to proselytize, but for our allies and would-be allies, if you want to work with black people, you can't be freaked out about spiritual references to God. If so, you're never going to really connect with black folks. And so that's something I think we need to establish here. We don't make room for that in Madison because it seems like it's a no-no. But at the center, we can't talk about black excellence and not talk about the role of spirituality.
That's right.
That's why that window,
That's who we are.
that big
That's
wall
right.
I showed you, is
That's
going to
right.
have stained glass around it to remind us and those that want to celebrate our culture. Were it not for the black church,
That's right.
we would not have educational systems, leadership,
Amen.
music,
Amen.
public speaking, etc. And in this phase of my life, I'm not going to downplay that. I'm going to
Yeah.
bring all of myself to the table.
That's right.
And so if folks really are serious about not just helping black people, but learning about what might be missing in your community, we need some kind of help, because obviously what we're doing, smoking, eating, drinking, writing, is not fixing the issue. We are sharper and smarter than we've ever been, but yet we're broken. And I mean everybody. I'm not talking about black people. So we need some help. Call it a higher power God. We need some help up in this thing right now. So I appreciate the fact that you unashamedly
And you know, I'll say
talk
this
about
too
that.
before we wrap, but people got to know who we are, and we got to know who we are.
Yes.
Ruben is a urban planner
Yes.
through and through. I tell people, what do you think about the Urban League doing? I said, man, that brother's taking the Urban League to a whole nother level.
It's a national model.
I mean, big time. I would have never thought up an ounce of what that man just put together. I mean, and remember, he took us on the trip.
We
over
all,
to-
and
I'm like,
Phoenix.
yeah, but he had a vision bigger than that, because I'm thinking, oh, you want to build a place for like people to eat? Okay,
Right.
that's what I left thinking.
Right.
Oh, and you want to do some housing? How you gonna put that together? So that's his thing, though. You're a community builder. You've been doing that since we were little. That's what you do. You call people to the church, but you do that through all your work. You're building people up.
Yes,
You're
yes.
building up people who were formerly incarcerated. I mean, all of that. I'm a catalyst. Dr. Henderson and his wife used to call me the tip of the spear. You're fearless. You're going to go in first. But he just told me, remember, the arrow gets pulled out the back. So now everybody's going to know that you've been here. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So it's like at the Urban League, I was a catalyst. Get them started. Then you got to have somebody come behind you and build that. So Karen, I think Karen shares a little bit of all of that, probably because she has to, right?
Right, from Central Spinal.
The community hasn't gotten used to having that many Latino voices at the table.
Right. And a woman. Of
and
all
a
these
woman.
developers,
And a woman.
She's a woman.
Yeah. So like when you think about what each person brings to the table, Michael's a fundraiser, like to through and through. Michael
Right.
Johnson. I mean, but he's a friend builder too. he brings a lot of people from various spheres around him, and he's got the gift of bringing the resources to the table. We have people like that all throughout our community. Your sister,
Yes.
the later, what she does with that art.
Yes.
She makes you dream, bro.
Yes, she does.
She makes
Yes,
you
she
dream.
does. She's from the south
My
side of
ex-wife,
Madison.
Lisa, she's an organizer.
Yes.
She always has been. She's organizing these women all over the country now
And helping to heal them.
and helping. So like we've got these assets,
And
but people sometimes see us as the same thing,
and we're not.
and we're not.
We're not.
But together we're powerful. So if people stop comparing us with one another and understand how we complement each other, we're gonna take the community a lot further.
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, my special guest has been Mr. Kaleem Caire, social innovator, educator, community father, who just loves our community. And we're so fortunate to have him on our side in this community. So we're going to put plenty of links in this podcast episode so people can check out the work of One City. I want to encourage my podcast family, support him, support kids, learn from him. If you're an educator, peruse the website and share with other folks because this information needs to be out there. Just a couple things before we finish up today. I want you to check out our new public-facing group on Facebook. Come join the conversation or just take a look at what others are talking about. You don't have to just settle into what's happening right here in the podcast. Keep the conversation going. I want to thank my special team, Eli Steenlich and Jeremy Holliday, who produce and edit the show. Mr. Don Thornton, who secures our great guests like Mr. Caire. Ariana Proctor curates and moderates our listener space. Jakesha Hunt, who handles our wonderful podcast merch. I want to thank all the folks that have clicked the Patreon link, who support what we're doing. It's because of you that we're able to maintain the excellence in this podcast. I appreciate you more than I can say. Please continue to support us. Others, if you don't, you really should. And you can do that for as little as $2 a month. So go on, click that Patreon link and become a part of the team that makes this happen. And to all of our listeners, you're the very best and most special part of Black Like Me podcast. Thank you for listening. And listen, folks, I tell you each time, don't just be entertained. Share this information. Listen to it again. Write a review. If you like what you're hearing, help us get it out to more people because we really want to change the world. You've got your challenges for the day. Go take on the day and be a part of the change you want to see. Thank you so much for your support of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G.
Black like me. Black like me.
I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this episode of Black Like Me podcast with Dr. Alex G. If you like that opening track of our theme song, you can show your appreciation to Corey Saffold, who created that and produced it, and Marcus Fleming, my cousin, who's on vocals. I also want to say that this podcast was started with the generous support of the Human Family Unity Foundation, and so we always want to stop and thank them for that. For the many patrons who support us through our Patreon page, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't just listen, but you support, you lean in, and you help this podcast to be what it is. And then I need to thank you, the listeners, who make a point of downloading this, listening to it, and sharing it. Without all of you, this podcast would not be what it is and what it's becoming. Thank you so much.